Right about here, I heard a ton of sirens. I looked up in my rearview mirror, and I seen a bazillion cops coming. And I was like, Nathan, no, there's cops. And he's like, turn right here, turn! So I turned the car into the dead-end street. And then everything was just blank from that point on.
There's our sweet dog Chauncey. And there's that mean dog Nathan.
Nathan was always happy and smiling, always had friends. He was very active. Nathan wanted to go to college, but we didn't have the money to send him to college, and he knew that if he got the GI Bill, he could go to college. So he joined the Army. We tried to talk him into doing other things, but he was dead set. That's what he wanted to do. And when he had to go to Iraq, I was mortified. I didn't know what to think. Of course, I was afraid. When he came back from Iraq, I thought that I would stop worrying and things would be much better, and it turned out it was worse than ever. After his first deployment, we started noticing changes. He withdrew from the family, didn't have a whole lot to say. He got real quiet, which is a big difference from the Nathan that we knew before the military. You know, you never could shut him up. He had some serious anger problems. He had a really bad temper. He was really hyper-vigilant and jumpy. You didn't dare walk up behind him and, you know, startle him or wake him up abruptly because he would just flip out.
He's just a completely different person now. It's not the same brother that I had growing up. I mean, I can't even talk to him right anymore because it's like he's not even there. He's just a shell. He's emotionless.
Like he was there, but he wasn't. I know he cared about the children, but he never really played, even when he was home, he never really played a very active role. He was in his own world, bottom line. So I just stuck to what I knew and just took care of the kids.
These soldiers coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, they're trained to shoot, they're trained to kill, and when they come back to our country after having survived in an environment like that, it comes with them. It comes with them in the form of nightmares. They have trouble getting along with their families. They're intersecting with criminal justice. They're drinking too much, using drugs. And that's how they're coping with the trauma that they were exposed to when they were killing others and when others were trying to kill them.
It kind of frightened me because in my mind I was seeing him, you know, dressed up in his Army fatigues, running these trails, and he had them roped off. And he had it like a tactical firing range where he would, you know, he could run from one spot to the next and shoot at his targets in the trees and just kind of, you know, go through the motions almost like he was in combat. And it just felt to me like he never really left Iraq, and maybe this is where he felt comfortable, or this was his comfort zone, out here shooting at the trees and targets and stuff.
I never put two and two together as far as the possibility that it could be PTSD. I thought it was all just alcohol related.
We have veterans suffering from PTSD at such a level which encourages them to use violence. Throughout the nation, courts and law enforcement are seeing a lot of veterans entering the system as more and more of our soldiers return.
This is where me and Nathan lived. He went a little crazy one night because of his PTSD. I don't know what set it off. And he busted out this window, and after someone broke into the house, he dug a hole over here. He made me borrow a shovel from my mom because they climbed through this window, and he dug a really big hole around this one. He was like, I'm going to sit out in that hole and wait for somebody to come try to get into the window again.
The first thing I noticed was the hole in the ceiling over here, and I've kind of spackled over it the best I could. I noticed the hole, and I asked Nathan what the hole was, and he said, you know, he didn't know. And I said, come on, you know, you're the only one that was here. But after much coaxing, he told me what had happened, and he was evidently in the living room in there and was laid back on the couch, and he told me that he pointed the gun at his temple a couple times and you know, was just thinking about which way he was going to shoot himself. But when he fired the gun off, it missed his head, and it came up from the living room through here, and then it went up through the ceiling right there. Once he did shoot it, he said he kind of snapped out of it, you know, and was thinking, you know, what am I doing? That was when I didn't understand anything about the PTSD, and so I basically told him he was going to have to shape up or ship out. It was a bad decision on my part, and what happened afterwards was just nothing like I expected.
Me and Nate, when we were coming off of that road, I seen a little boy. He was about to run out across the street. So I hit the brakes and I let the family cross the street. And I start hearing the guy behind me. He starts screaming at me, you know, it's not a stop sign, blah, 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 blah.
And while some people were passing in front of him, a car behind them started yelling and saying this isn't a parking lot, using profanity.
Started harassing them immediately. He was honking his horn and carrying on.
And Nate's like, what did the guy say? And he's like looking at the guy.
After that, they drove up to the red light, and when they stopped at the red light, the vehicle behind them pulled up alongside of them.
And the guy leans over and says to Nathan, and he's like, don't say a word, little man. That just like set him off, and you know, he automatically felt he was being harassed, attacked, whatever, and all I see is the gun come across my face, and I'm like...
And Nathan flashed the gun at him to get him to back off, and he thought the guy would leave him alone.
So I was like, put the gun under the seat, like, don't touch it, leave it alone, like, let's just go home, you know? So we get, and we stop, and I get out of the car, and I'm like, what do you want, dude, you know? And Nathan gets out of the car. You know, we're both just like, you know, leave us alone, like, please just leave us alone.
Nathan and Kristen drove off, and this guy continued to follow them for probably close to 15 minutes through the streets of St. Augustine.
Nathan's like, turn right here, turn right here. And then he's like, go, 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 like, cut over here, cut over here.
He followed them for some time, and which I thought was really stupid because the guy had his kid in the back seat of the car.
And I'm not like looking at Nathan. I'm looking in my rearview mirror and like how I didn't hit anybody or run over anybody or any cars, like I have no idea.
I could see him going into his survival mode and flicking back into Iraq thinking, you know, somebody was after him.
And when I get like right here, Nathan starts shooting the gun. I heard the gunshot and I just like went into a panic. I'm like screaming. I'm like, what did you do, Nathan? Like, that's all I kept screaming at Nathan was, I don't need this, I don't need this. My son, like, you know, I'm like freaking out. Nathan's like, just go, just go. I'm like, Nathan, there are people following us. I was like, this is not, like, we're not getting out of this. Like, this is it. And then all I seen were cops fly over US 1 right over here and like pushing cars out of the way, jumping curbs, just like a ton of them. And I'm like, Nathan, here comes the cops. I was like, this is it. And he's like, turn right here, turn right here. And that was right up here. And I stopped right here, and this is where we got arrested.
They charged me with 2 counts of aggravated assault with a firearm and discharging a firearm from a vehicle.
The shots lodged into a building on the other side of where the guy that was following Nathan and Kristen was doing the U-turn. It's a dance studio up on US 1. Nobody was hurt. No. He could be looking at up to 65 years in prison.
I wouldn't just hurt innocent people or done anything like that before the war. And afterwards, I was like kind of like violent, I guess. I mean, unpredictable and stuff like that. Just not totally an opposite of what I was before the war, I guess, if you could say.
When I went and spoke with Nathan, that's when I found out about him being an Iraq veteran and all the problems that he had been having, and found out that basically no one was helping him. That's when I started thinking, I'm in for the long haul. And I spoke with the prosecutor. It was flat out, the best I'll do is 20 years. He pleads, I'll give him 20 years, otherwise we're going to, you know, look at attempted murder charge with discharging a firearm. We're going to get as much as we can out of him.
You've been unable to make your bond, correct?
Unable, ma'am.
Yes, Your Honor, if you recall, I filed a motion to reduce bond. You did reduce it down to $225,000. Obviously, he has not been able to meet that at this time. If we go to trial based on the facts and based on the witnesses, you know, unless we can convince a jury that, you know, this was caused because of post-traumatic stress disorder, it's going to be pretty hard to overcome the evidence that they have against me. In the state of Florida, as far as using post-traumatic stress disorder, the case law right now says that you cannot use it as an insanity defense.
Yes, ma'am.
What you can do is use it, similar to a battered women's syndrome, where a wife may have been beaten or, you know, girlfriend beaten over a long period of time, suddenly one day snaps and aren't aware of their actions and then injures or kills the person that has been beating them.
To serve 7 years and then come here, it seems like, I don't know. Seems like I might as well not have, I guess. I mean, that's how I feel, but that's not, you know, that's not how I should feel, but I feel like I don't know.
They've protected us. They've given up their lives for us, and when I say that, I don't mean just by giving up their lives on the battlefield. I mean by giving up who they were before they went and served our country, and coming back a different person because of their service. They deserve to have our help in regaining that person that they were before they went.
He fired because he felt threatened, and that's just, to me, that's something that doesn't deserve 50 years, especially for somebody that just came out of a war, you know, and still has not had a chance to readjust to living here, you know, where everything's not a threat to you. You know, they're pretty tough with those laws. I mean, there's just no leeway there.
I think if I get treated, I won't have to be messed up in this legal system anymore. I mean, I think I can be treated, and I think I can get better when I won't come to jail anymore. That's just what I think.
Yeah, so we're getting there. You know, we're still have a long ways to go with the state bill, but it's promising. All right.
What?
Prison is gonna do nothing but make it 10 times worse for Nathan. Just jail alone, like, is wearing him down so much. Like, I can just hear it in his voice and his confidence, and, like, you know, he'll be a criminal if he goes to prison, because that's all he's gonna know, you know what I mean? And he's a good person.
I don't get any treatment in here. Not in jail. Once the legal system has you, the VA, you can't really do anything for you as of now.
If Nathan is convicted, he'll lose, you know, right now he has disability from the post-traumatic stress disorder, so he'll lose that. He'll probably lose all of his, you know, benefits that he would have received as a veteran.
He was always a role model for me, and I was going to go in the military right after him, but seeing the things that happened, I just can never do that. I want to end up going through the things that he's going through.
I can't do anything for Nathan right now. It's very frustrating. Because most of all, I want to help him, but I can't do anything. He's at the mercy of the courts. I can help him if he gets out, but I can't do anything with him while he's in jail.
I think with everything I've showed the prosecution thus far, I think they're starting to see that, you know, Nathan can be rehabilitated and can be a productive member of society. The last time we spoke, the charges that were still pending were an aggravated assault, discharging a firearm. There are 2 counts of that. The 3rd charge was discharging a firearm from a vehicle, which is a 2nd-degree felony. So if the state had asked for consecutive sentencing, he could have been looking at 55 years total in prison. When I first went and talked to Nathan, it was the 20-year offer, and he's like, you know, you can see his eyes, that no, I can't do 20 years, that's ridiculous. I really thought that we might be able to get down to about a 3-year plea agreement, and then it would either be take that or go to trial.
It was either accept, you know, the deal or take a risk at, you know, the citizens here in St. Johns County, you know, deciding that he should be put away for 20 years or more.
I've never heard her going below what the plea agreement is. I've heard her going above the plea agreement.
Maybe we should have gone to 0 to 5.
Well, the prosecutor wouldn't do 0.
Okay.
Yeah, she said, I'm not going to do 0. Because I think some further incarceration is needed. But the judge could say, I know this is a plea. It's been an ongoing communication with Nathan. And, you know, all along Nathan has wanted to take responsibility for what happened, but he also wanted the alleged victim to take responsibility for what he did. And that was what we were trying to get through to the state attorney's office, and them coming up with an offer that we felt was reasonable for what happened. Do you have any questions regarding what's going to take place?
Mm-mm.
No? All right, the way it'll work is we'll get to go first, and when we go, we'll put all the people on that are going to speak on your behalf, and like I've mentioned to you before, he has pled, and he pled to 1 count of discharging a firearm in a vehicle, which is a 2nd-degree felony. We went down to a 10-year sentence with the prosecutor and explained that to Nathan, and he was still, you know, I think that's too high for the act that took place. That's why when we got down to the 18 months as a bottom baseline for incarceration, so I was, quite excited, and Nathan was excited too. He was happy that there's a chance that he won't have to do any more than another 6 months.
I thought eventually they would, come to something, but I didn't know what. It's been stressful, on my family and me. But I had no idea they were gonna make a really good offer like they have now. But it took some time for them to understand. So, and it's been a while. I've been in here sitting and waiting for them to get educated on PTSD and why I did what I did, so.
It was the best deal that he could have ever, imagined they were gonna come up with. But at the same time, he kind of felt like I did. I had mixed emotions, whereas he shouldn't have had to spend any time. This should have never happened in the first place. But we were relieved that the plea deal came out as good.
It's up to the judge to determine what the final sentence will be. The agreement is an 18-month minimum sentence in the Department of Corrections, up to a maximum of 54 months in the Department of Corrections. After release from incarceration, Nathan is to attend a P.T.S.D, substance abuse rehab center. And they can keep him up to 2 years. If you want to give an additional statement that day, you can. I always say that in a situation like that, the best thing is to, show some remorse to, I wouldn't say necessarily Mr. Petrilli, but to his daughter.
Yeah.
Because she didn't have anything to do with her father chasing you.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So, and then he'll be a convicted felon. Unfortunately, once you are incarcerated, adjudicated guilty, and you will lose his civil rights. It is possible that after treatment and after everything is said and done that he could petition and possibly have his civil rights restored, but it won't automatically be granted to him, and including his voting rights.
In this county, I think Nathan is probably one of the only cases like his. I think they're going to see more and more of that, and maybe once they do, they're going to see a need for the jail diversion programs.
The Veterans Court is a different way of doing business that tries to solve the problems that are causing these individuals to come into the criminal justice system rather than simply house them in jail or prison and have them get a master's degree in criminality and get out and have those problems even further exacerbated. I don't know why there isn't a Veterans Court in every jurisdiction that is seeing these cases intersect with criminal justice. It seems like the right thing to do from every perspective. So I'm hoping that we'll continue to see these courts develop and provide this very important assistance to the vets.
I'm not sure how up-to-date Judge Berger is on the Veterans Court. I wouldn't be surprised if she has some indication of the way things are changing because she's involved in drug court. And the whole idea behind drug court is to rehabilitate them and give them counseling and try to help them with their addiction. And I'm hoping that that plays a role when she does give the ultimate sentence.
I hope the courts can get educated somehow about veterans coming back and doing crazy stuff and them not understanding and just classifying you as just a common criminal when you do have problems. You don't see things in the light that other people do have been in Iraq.
I'm already feeling emotional about it. I want to see him. Most of all, I want to hug him.
August 13th will be a year that Nathan has been incarcerated. So every day that he has already served will go towards his final sentence.
We do plan on getting married. As crazy as everybody thinks we are, but we will get married as soon as he gets out and we're able to.
I feel good about my future. Wasn't looking so bright in the beginning, but now it's like I can say it's gonna be good. It'll be great. I just need treatment for these little issues I have. Well, they're big issues, but there's something I can overcome, and then I'll go to school and everything will be fine.
I guess I replaced my sorrow with kind of an activist attitude. Now it's turned me into more of a proactive person, more focused on helping others. I've learned that there's a lot more people going through the same thing that my family and my son have gone through. I've just joined together with a lot of different veterans advocates to try and make change, because there's just hundreds of these boys coming back. They're falling through the cracks in the VA. They're not getting the treatment that they need. And they're either ending up dead or in jail. And the only way there's going to be change is for the people to know and to get out there and to rally our congressmen and the VA and our government to make these changes. And it's kind of become a passion or an obsession with me now, and it helps me cope with what's going on because I stay busy, and it makes me feel like I'm doing something.